Hello everyone, today I'll describe the differences I've seen between a junior engineer, a mid-level engineer, and a senior engineer. These differences range from technical skills to soft skills, and they tend to span many technical fields. As you become more experienced, regardless of technical field, the things that delineate a senior engineer from a junior engineer tend to fall more into big picture thinking, soft skills, and project management, rather than just being really good at writing code or algorithms. So for the next few minutes, I'm going to break down the differences between a junior, mid-level, and senior engineer so you can identify places to grow yourself. Let's start with junior engineers. Juniors and engineers tend to be fresh out of college and eager to learn. They understand basic coding concepts, whether that be design or implementation, well, probably both. They need some understanding of coding best practices as well as the actual implementation of programming. I mean, basic loops, if and else logic, objects, and so on. These folks tend to be more task focused, where managers give very detailed instructions on how to accomplish a goal. They likely aren't going to be looking for work to take on proactively. Most likely, they are going to be focusing on learning enterprise-grade best practices and completing the tasks they are asked to do, rather than trying to take on entire projects. This is because you're still trying to learn programming, machine learning, and system design in an enterprise context. You're spending tons of your time just trying to learn how to troubleshoot, work with code versioning tools, or handle models you've never worked with before. You really benefit from focusing on task-oriented work, being humble, and asking thoughtful questions rather than trying to learn management, high-level design, and best practices all in one go. You can focus on building a really firm foundation in company infrastructure, which is very difficult to learn on your own on your personal projects. You have to deal with infrastructure where you ensure your code passes unit tests, integration tests, create your own pull requests, and improve your code based on the comments. There's so much to glean on those first 2 years that you probably won't have much time to focus on project management or growing into a mid-level engineer role just yet. As a mid-level engineer, you start providing more insights into design decisions for small infrastructure components. Even though you're still learning, you start taking more ownership of these components and you are more proactive when you encounter issues. Managers will give you vaguer tickets, leaving you to fill the blanks. It's really hard to know what to do right away if you haven't spent a lot of time in the field. But once you've hit that mid-level mark, you have enough experience to start making good calls. This applies to the design side, project management side, and of course working cross-functionally. You start understanding how to work with teams from different departments, how to deal with them, how to make sure they understand everything going on in your worlds so everyone is on the same page. Also, as a mid-level engineer, you're likely going to spend a little more time mentoring junior engineers on best practices. Also, you'll start looking for projects that you can take on and own for yourself as you begin to understand the concept of impact and business value. Now, for senior engineer, you start owning either an entire process or a project. And you are really responsible for every aspect of it. You align deeply with your manager's roadmap. You proactively take on projects, optimize anything and everything you can, and find the most impactful work to do first. Senior engineers create the high-level design. They prioritize future benefits even if immediate ones look larger. This brings me to a crucial point. They aren't afraid to push back on management. While a junior engineer might agree to every request out of eagerness to please, a junior engineer knows the power of saying no, or at least not right now. They act as a filter, ensuring that the team works on what actually drives value rather than just trying to create huge technical depth. They spend a lot of their time thinking about deep design and analysis to be able to do these calls. They create their own tickets, epics, and stories without requiring a senior manager or project manager to be heavily involved to move them along. They delegate non-critical path work to other team members. In meetings, they are very opinionated about where the team should be going. Another key skill is learning to communicate across cross-functional teams and driving their goals just as much as you're driving your own team's goals. You're influencing not just your team, but others as well. You have to figure out how to work best with them and ensure everyone is on the same plane, whether that be through diagrams or meetings. This is something I've learned through doing it well and poorly. I've been on projects where stakeholders were not looped in on decisions. What happens is that stakeholders avoid using your solution even if it's significantly better than their current process because they weren't involved. If no one keeps project sponsors engaged and no one checks if the stakeholders' needs have evolved, the project might drift away from what success looks like. That brings us back to impact. Again, this is important. If stakeholders do not see business value in your project, it doesn't matter how smart you are technically. Besides that, you'll still spend time giving advice to junior and mid-level engineers regarding what code should look like and setting best practices. You need to be a great communicator by putting yourself on their shoes. When you talk to a non-technical person, assume they know next to nothing and might be afraid to admit it. When you talk to a fellow engineer who is familiar with the stack, you can include more technical jargon and get straight to the point. Finally, make time to help others whenever you can. It pays dividends in the long run. As others become more autonomous, it frees up your time for other tasks. Eventually, people will see you as a leader. To summarize, when you're a junior, you're really learning about executing tasks because that's really the best thing you can do at that stage. You don't yet have the wisdom to make the best decisions long term. As you become a mid-level engineer, you have an idea of what the right decisions and best practices are. You can start doing a little bit more high-level decision making and managing projects on your own without heavy oversight. Then you move into a senior role where you're focused on the future. You use all your experience and knowledge to own projects and influence teams. You drive projects forward, pass on your knowledge, enforce thoughtful design decisions, and lead the team by being impactful in such a larger way. And with that, I really appreciate all of you guys. If you enjoyed this video, consider clicking the like button. It really helps me understand what videos are great. Also, let me know if you disagree with my points or if I missed one in the comments below. Other than that, I'll see you in the next time. Thank you and goodbye.